Welcome back to the Digi Bros! I wasn't sure if I should sing the song, but then if someone's gonna make us animation, it doesn't make sense if you play the song and then you sing the song.
Well, they're not gonna finish it in the 5 days.
First Connor was born, and then I was born, and now we're adults and we're playing games. It's the Digi Bros!
Welcome back to Digi Bros, everybody. So, yesterday, we recorded an hour and 20 minutes of Dark Souls footage.
Hell yeah, we did.
And then the computer got a blue screen of death, and it all went away.
Yay!
It did not recover, did not pass go, did not collect $200.
So happy.
The downside is that we lost a long conversation about finishing up your film and like the nature of how we leave behind our art after it's done because we don't have enough faith in it, and how you just basically not very happy with how the film came out. But you can all go watch it now. It should be available.
Yeah, everyone go watch it. Go to my channel. It's on my channel.
Right.
I put it on Victor Collins because I want it to be associated with me and me alone.
So that's out. But sort of disappointed with the results.
Yes.
But we had a whole
you're
conversation.
even more disappointed than me. Your disappointment rubs off on me, and it makes me even more disappointed. I could be
The only
fine.
reason I'm so disappointed is because you keep talking about how disappointed you are.
Yeah, but I mean,
You've been making it sound like
more disappointed than I am.
You were like, I'm not even gonna touch it anymore. You were like, I'm so done with it. I just want it to be over. Oh, I'm sick of it.
That's because I just feel bad, and just looking at it makes me feel worse because I just see the problems. I'm just like, oh, it just makes me feel even worse.
Like, if you're not gonna fix it, then I might as well just be like, well...
What do I fix? There's nothing to fix at this point. It's done. Right. You saying, like, oh, you're not gonna fix it, like you expect me to fix it. That's what makes it feel like shit. It's like, oh, wow.
We just talked about something you could change, like, 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll fuck with that now because now that's been brought up. Which I think I had entertained the thought of it before. But fuck.
Anyways, the film's over. We talked about that at length on the last video, but you're not gonna hear that.
I'm gonna talk along the lines of what we were just saying on editing, because what annoys me about some actors, which I'm guilty of this myself. I'm not a good actor. I don't like acting, so I do this sometimes. Is when you're shooting two characters back and forth, and like. So you'll cover one character's lines in their completion, and then you'll turn around and cover the other character's lines as if they were talking back and forth. And what bothers me is when an actor doesn't want to act his lines while the other person is doing their lines because they're not on camera. So they don't feel the need to fully act. And I feel like that dumbs the performance a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Why would they
Because that's part of why, like, I was thinking about editing that scene again, and it's like, on Sergio's part, he isn't full acting during her lines, so it's like, it's a little obnoxious.
You know what mistake you made? You told your actors too much about what it was gonna look like. Because a lot of directors keep that shit secret. I mean,
well, if you have a fucking camera literally staring, you know you're not in front of the camera. It's like, it's not like these people don't know how filmmaking works.
Right, but like, you know, if it was them actually having a conversation, they wouldn't know which parts were going to be them and the other person necessarily, like how you were going to cut it, you know. But that is super obnoxious that they would...
it's like, I understand as an actor that it's difficult to give your 100%, but it's like, you're going to have to do it a bunch of times anyway. It's like, why don't you keep doing it for the other person so they can respond to you better? And I think I made him do it a couple times. I'll have to go back and watch the edits. I just remember being one of those things where I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, you're not gonna do the whole performance.
I think we can agree, though, that if there's one thing that this film would solidify, it's the idea that you could be a good DP. Because the best thing about it is the shots, you know, like the camera work. Like,
I think I did decent directing, like, compared to, like, what I've seen of other people. Like, even if, like, the performance wasn't everything that we wanted it, you should have seen what it was before I directed it. Like, he was not even fucking close to being that character from just grasping the script. He had no comprehension of what was going on in that script, which I think is what ended up, you know, taking it down a little bit, because I thought he would have understood, but it's just like, when we got into it and we started rehearsals, it was like, he has no fucking idea what this is about, like, or what his character is at all. So it's like, I did get a lot out of the performance, and that's why, like, at the very end, at the last scene at the bar, he does a really good job, because that's like, you know, the last scene we shot, and he was getting into it a little bit more. But it's like it took that much
by
time
far
to get the best
last
performance
scene
out.
is the best like acted and shot and everything.
Then to an extent, another thing I learned was just that you have to trust your own judgment over your actors or anything like that, because it's like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm working with someone who's done a lot of work, like, you don't want to like shit all over them even if it doesn't feel right. But then it's like, so sometimes I let things slide a little too much, and it's just like, no, I gotta cover my base a little bit more, be a little bit more 100.
And this is the first time you did anything with dialogue, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you're not 100% sure how it's gonna turn out.
Right. Well, yeah. But we had a whole other conversation that will be lost to time forever.
Yes, we had a whole conversation about...
I don't remember what we
feeling
talked
of your
about.
work.
We went to the painted world. We didn't fight the boss, though. The important thing, we didn't fight any bosses. So if you're feeling a profound sense of loss, don't worry. We fought 0 bosses.
Yes.
We did fight a couple mini-bosses that you won't get to see, unfortunately. You won't get to see the undead dragon from the painted world or the big slime thing
that's why
in
I
this
didn't go
area.
this way, because I lost the fucking
Transient curse. Right.
See, we already came through here. I'm just going back to get the big ember because I forgot to get it when I was through here.
We ran through this part of Anor Londo, lowered the water level. That's another thing we did accomplish.
Yes.
We lowered the water level in New Londo Ruins.
Oh wait, no, because there was a chest behind that dude over there, so it's not up here. Son of a bitch.
We lowered the water level in New Londo Ruins. We tried to fight the 4 kings but got killed. That was only like 1 attempt though. Went to the painted world and did everything except fight the boss, and then came back. And then Victor was going to upgrade some stuff, but he realized he didn't have the item for it, which he's now trying to get.
the big ember.
So then we were about to go get that, and then the blue screen of death happened.
I'm sorry, this would be the hella big ember, because I already got the big ember.
Yeah, this is the hella big ember.
Now I need the hella big ember.
So, yeah. I think that's all we did, right? I guess we probably spent like 2 episodes in New Londo.
Yeah.
And then 1 in the painted world, and then I feel like there was maybe it was 2 in the painted world. I don't really remember, even though it was just yesterday. Yeah, so we think this is the chest that will have the.
Because I had fought this guy before, but then I didn't
get the chest.
I didn't go get the chest. I totally forgot.
So anyways, I don't remember what other conversations we had.
Yeah.
So fuck it. But what we were about to start talking about,
you're talking about how your brony friends came here.
Oh yeah, Jeff and Cider came. Well, if you want to know more about that, you might as well just watch the live-action pub crawl. It's out now. If you
That's a Titanite chunk. What the fuck?
Okay, so it's not this one. It's a different one.
I thought it was behind an illusory wall. And we had to kill a guy.
It didn't mention an illusory wall at all.
Oh, I thought it did.
No, it did not.
Oh, well, what the fuck?
It just said behind a guy. There was a
What
chest.
kind of guy did it say?
It just said one of those guys. I'm pretty sure.
Ah, son of a bitch.
But it's definitely in a chest, and it's definitely behind a guy somewhere down in New Londo. But it's not necessarily that chest.
Well, then maybe it was back up there.
Fuck. So anyways, yeah, if you've never heard of the pub crawl, that's the radio show that I do at 3 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're probably going to move it a little bit earlier sometime soon. In fact, maybe by the next show, because Cider's touring the United States right now. But there's a pub crawl YouTube channel where we release some of our shows. Search CR Pub Crawl, should give you it. And we just put out a live version because they were at my house, so we did it live, and it was pretty funny. So yeah, if you want to watch a bunch of drunk people sit around very tired and talking about nonsense, watch that. But that's not this show.
It's not.
So one thing that we did not talk about, and I'm glad we didn't, because I wouldn't have wanted to have this whole fucking conversation again, because we realized it
Son of a bitch.
Oh, Jesus
Fuck my ass. I need to get transient curse, apparently.
Literally right before we stopped recording,
Clusterfuck.
or before the blue screen of death, you brought up that you finally saw Mad Max.
Yeah!
And we promised that we were going to talk about it on the show.
Yeah, we did.
I assume everyone's gone and seen it. You had 5 extra days to go do it.
Fuckwits.
And literally every critic on planet Earth has raved about this film. Like,
so they got
ridiculous.
out their glow sticks and everything, man.
So first of all, what did you think of Mad Max, Vic?
I thought it was pretty cool. It was refreshing. It was fun. I wish it were longer. It was like 2 hours long, but it felt just lightning fast. because it was during the final action scene. I didn't realize it was the final action scene until like they kill the main bad guy. I was like, wait, what? It's over? What?
I was the only person who seemed to think it felt like 2 hours. Like I definitely felt
blew through that, man.
But I guess because for me, when I watch action scenes, I tend to like start not realizing where I am anymore, and that makes it feel like it's taking longer. But yeah, it was great, right?
Yes, I love that they kept, like, I don't know if he was like this originally, but Mad Max the character felt very pure to me, where it's like he was a simple guy, he had simple motivations and a simple backstory, and they didn't make him any fucking deeper than he needed to be.
Right.
They didn't make him some fucking unnecessary hero. He did his own thing, he had his own motivations, and he was cool, and they didn't fucking ruin him.
I like that he feels mad.
Yeah,
like, he's
insane, but he's also just a nice guy, and it's just like he's doing his own thing. Yes,
I wouldn't say he was being.
He's likable. I mean,
he definitely tried to kill Furiosa. It just failed. You know.
Yes,
like,
I mean in the beginning, then it's like he's being an asshole, but it's like he's just trying to survive, and he's insane.
Right. Exactly, and she tries to kill him too. I mean, it's mutual.
That's just the world they live in. But it's like he's a decent person.
Right.
Who's just been ruined by society.
But yeah, he's a cool character. So, there's one thing I really wanted to talk with you about on this show, because it's a subject matter that I could go on about, but I don't want to make like blanket statements about this and make a whole video about it, because it's just kind of my passing thoughts after watching this. But Mad Max did well what I think something like Game of Thrones does poorly, or more pertinently, Chappie. Now, remember when we talked about Chappie, how I kept saying how much it bothered me that America just got murdered so horrifically, and it was like the most where the fuck did that come from? He's just fucking pulped
out of nowhere.
Right, because the whole movie, he's this character with like all these speaking lines, who's like he's as important as the other two.
Yes.
There's no reason to believe that America was any less important than Ninja or whatever the fuck her name was.
So you don't even remember her name?
Right, exactly. Like. Well, just because it's harder to pronounce.
I don't remember her name either.
And the other two's name were America and Ninja, which are both much more easy to remember. But America just gets horribly murdered, and there's no comment on it. There's no fanfare. It was just some cool, like, oh, hey, this guy got cut in half.
He got ripped in half for no reason.
When that happens to, like, some nameless character who's just there, it's because it's like, okay, cool death scene. Like, for instance, the Raid Redemption. A lot of people get, like, ridiculously gory deaths out of nowhere.
But it's rad.
It's because they're just random, like...
And it's like, how creative can
they're not even, like, humans. They're just... they're just faceless things that die in an action movie, you know, like they're not important. And like in Chappie, it just treated like a full-on character like he was just some random mook who just dies and no one fucking cares, you know. And they make a big deal when the girl dies, but it's like, I didn't care any more for her than I did for America. Like, why was she such a big deal and he wasn't, you know? And that kind of stuff bothers me. And I talk about this as well in actually at length in the Metroid Prime videos, which are not going to be out for a while probably, where I talked to Boyd about how like schlock horror and stuff like that bothers me when it does stuff like that. It takes like a major character and then just has like a gruesome, brutal death for no reason just to have it, you know. And what I like about Mad Max Fury Road is that it never does that. And it never really, like, it never shoves gore in your face. There's not really any gore in the movie. There's some incredibly violent shit happening.
Yes.
And it's an incredibly dark world, and, like, you know, like, everything about it is dark as shit. But you never really see, like, the gore moment. There's no, like, to spoil minor spoilers for season 4 of Game of Thrones, some scenes that bothered me in Game of Thrones season 4, when Joffrey goes, then they put like this broad daylight close shot of his face bleeding fucking blood from his eyes and shit, and like, oh, this is like horribly grotesque thing. We didn't need to see that, you know. Or when the Viper gets his head crushed in. Yeah, once again,
that's the only moment where it was too much for me.
Broad daylight close-up of a man's fingers going into another man's skull and exploding it and popping it across the ground.
The latest season you haven't been watching, it's just gotten even more just like just really graphic murders of random people. Or it's like,
Right.
you know, it's not important characters, and it is the
But
kind of
why
stuff
kill them
where
like
if it
that?
were in the raid, it would be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. But it's like, it feels so out of place sometimes. You're like,
Right.
oh my god.
Well, you're watching like this boring, serious talking
Yes.
show, and then suddenly people are and like Game of Thrones treats it like a comedy sometimes, where they've got that scene where the guy.
Yeah, it's kind of like where you see them get murdered, and it's like it's supposed to be like a ha-ha moment,
Right.
like, oh, look at him.
Do you
he got
remember
fucked up
in
or
season, the
something.
one that always strikes out to me in season 4 is when the guy says something like they're like raiding someplace in the north, and the guy's like, oh yeah, if you like, they're like, oh, we'll spare you if you let us through, and he's like, oh, thank you, and then it smash cuts to him dead on a pike, and it's like, is that supposed to be funny? Like, Jesus, this is gruesome as fuck, you know?
I think there's a weird disconnect with this and maybe some other HBO stuff.
Uh-huh.
Where the writing is so good and it's shot so well and it feels really tasteful at times when you're watching it. It feels like something smart, you know, something that's well thought out and well made. And then it goes, you know, it has these like horrible gratuitous sex scenes and like these fucking murders, and you're just like, what? Am I watching something tasteful, or is this like trash, you know?
Like, it's just, and like the thing about Mad Max,
not that you can't have that stuff and still be tasteful, but it's just like it's a weird disconnect where it's the extremes of both ends.
The way that Mad Max does it is like it completely like, because people always say about Game of Thrones.
Not open the fucking door. Ah, fuck.
I can't believe you didn't do it again.
It's because we stopped playing.
Right at that moment.
Fuck.
Jesus. So
that's when it crashed.
You know, there's a door up there that you can just go down.
Yes, we're gonna do that next time.
But anyways, in Mad Max, when a character dies, I mean the world. Or hold on, backpedal a bit. I lost my train of thought. In Game of Thrones, people always defend all the violence and stuff by saying like, well, that's just how it was back then, you know, people always say they always say back then, even though it's a fucking fantasy world.
People get murdered, but you don't have to show it so graphically.
Right, exactly. It's like I don't need to see it that way to understand it, you know. And it's like on the one hand, I kind of get like if what you're trying to say to me is that the show is trying to perfectly put me in the shoes of being in that time and seeing that shit firsthand, then yes, it's effective. I don't want to watch that. That is not a show I want to see. I don't want to relive the terror of being in the Dark Ages. Why would I want to see that, you know? Like, that's not entertaining television. You can have a show, a movie, where Mad Max is a very hopeful film. Like, the ultimate message is hope. It has, you know, it's uplifting, is what I'll say, right? And it conveys an incredibly dark, brutal, gritty universe without ever shoving it in your face. There's only one moment in the movie that's really shocking, and that's when a certain character dies who you're not expecting to die. I'm sure you didn't expect her to die, right?
Was it one of the old people?
No, the one who goes on. She went under the wheel.
Oh, God, yeah! That was where I was like, holy shit!
Right.
Like, oh my god.
But, like, it didn't feel
it wasn't super
cheap,
graphic,
right? Because
though.
like you just see her sort of fly out, and then just you see her go under the wheels, and you're like, oh fuck, and you immediately are like, she's probably dead. You know, it's the character you least expected to die. But
Can I not give him the fucking emperor? I thought I gave it to this guy too.
No, it said you have to give it to the guy in.
I have to give it to that guy?
Yeah, you have to give it to
I
the
could
one
give it
dude.
to this guy too.
No, I read you the instructions, and it said the other guy. I didn't think about it until you were already here, but
way to go, bro! I'm like, when do you?
I literally
read this shit
at the end of the last episode when I fucking read the entire page on this item. It said you had to go to Andre.
I would totally remember that from like yesterday.
I remember it from yesterday.
You're a freak and you read.
But yeah. So she goes under the wheels, and you see it, and you know she's probably dead. But it's not gory. It's not in your face. You know, it is shocking, but it's not like, oh man, we killed the one character you didn't expect. It's just like, oh shit, this just got real, you know? And like, almost every time a character dies, it's almost always a cutaway. Like, you know, the one girl gets hit by a truck, and it just cuts to black right when the truck hits her, you know? They're, and when characters get shot, you will see blood shoot out, but it's always from a distance. It's always like a distant camera angle. And even when the main, I don't want to like spoil everything, but I mean it should be obvious that the bad guys are gonna die. So when a certain bad guy dies, probably the goriest scene, but it cuts so fast because she like tears his face off. But like you just see a blood splatter and the camera's gone, you know. And then later you see like his head or whatever, and like. So it has gruesomeness, but it never tries to shove it in your face. But all the action is fully impactful. It's all satisfying and gritty, and it's like, boom, like a character dies, and you go, oh shit, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not, it doesn't make you feel gross and stuff like that, you know? And again, I understand if that's maybe what Game of Thrones is going for. Maybe some people like that. Maybe they like that it makes them feel gross. Personally, I don't really understand the appeal.
People are into horror, and you're not into horror, too.
It's true, I'm not into horror at all. But, like...
You're just really not into gory shit, generally.
Right. Well, I just don't understand the point. Why would I want that? Why would I want to watch people fucking suffer and die in horrible ways, you know? Like, just grotesque, horrible things happen to people. Like, especially... like characters that you're supposed to care about, you know? And then when you have like the two characters that you're supposed to care about who have major deaths in Mad Max.
Yeah.
One of them is that girl, and it's very shocking, but everyone cares afterwards. Everyone's crying. Everyone's like, you know, that's like the downer moment of the movie. That girl died. Like everyone's fucking
like a fire greatsword. Would that be cool?
Everyone's fucking like, God, are we even gonna keep doing this? Like, is this the right thing to do? Should we just go back? Or are we ever gonna make it? You know, like, it's this big... It brings the whole movie down, you know? And then the other major death of a main character is extremely heroic. He gets, like, this cool shot.
Yeah,
he gets to do
awesome.
something big. He gets awesome final words. And then there's a huge explosion, and you're like, fuck yeah. Like, he went how he wanted to, you know? Those are the two major deaths. Not someone gets cut in half and it never gets mentioned again, you know? Like, so, and I was watching out for that the whole movie, because I've had this on my mind.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm watching it, and I'm
Definitely,
like...
I mean, it was generally better characters, better treated characters.
Right. The characters are treated like they matter. And, like, the whole story is like that, where, like, even though the movie... Like, if you just read a description of it, it sounds corny as fuck. There's a guy on strings attached to the front of a car playing a guitar that shoots fire, and he's got amps behind him, and he's on the front of a car literally playing the soundtrack of the movie along the way. And like you see that and you're like, okay, that's fucking insane. But the way the film's universe is, it totally makes sense. Like, it makes sense in the context of the story for that to happen, and you don't even question it. Like, it doesn't feel unrealistic. It's like...
So you just go, oh yeah, dude, I was so hyped every time he showed up on screen. I was like, fuck yes.
This is exactly the kind of world where that would happen. And, like, the world takes itself seriously enough, and takes its character seriously enough, that, like, it never feels like schlock. It always feels like a real story with real people, you know? Oh, so you're using the greatsword, not using the...
because it does this.
Claymore?
Oh! Beautiful.
That definitely looks like it's supposed to be based on Guts' sword, based on the bottom.
Yeah,
like
the one in Dark Souls 2 is more of like a Guts-sized sword.
A slab of iron.
Yes, it's very. I think the description's even something like that, where it's like obviously a
more of a slab of iron than a sword. All right, next time on Digi Bros,
go from here.
we'll do more things.
All right.